What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer, and this is my review for 50 Cent's first full album release in 5 years, Animal Ambition. Or as I like to call it, Average Ambition, because there's nothing overly ambitious about this project. I mean, you can just look at the songs Smokin' Twisted. They sound like club hits from 5 to 10 years ago. The opening track, Hold On, just sounds like 50 Cent if he didn't care. Which it sounds like he doesn't care on most of this album. I mean, Hold On just has a simple boom bap sort of beat. He's doing his sing-songy flow. He's just rapping about whatever. There's nothing lyrically that really blew me away on this album, other than Jadakiss's verse on A Regular Heartbeat, which is an alright song. It's one of the more street songs on there. It's kind of about how they're all calling people pussies and they can hear your heartbeat. It's 50 Cent, Kid, and like I said, Jadakiss, who has the best verse on there, because he's talking about how people on social media will talk all kinds of shit, but then in person, they don't say anything. And speaking of Kid, who I mentioned, he's on The Regular Heartbeat, he's on Every Time I Come Around, and Chase the Paper. And he holds his own on there. Like, I don't think he's going to be a solo artist who's going to blow up and everyone's really going to care, but he's good on this album. He fills in the blanks. I mean, I think 50 could have went and got some of the G-Unit guys. That would have been kind of cool. I mean, they just had a reunion recently, but if you had to fill in those spots with like a Young Buck appearance, or, you know, I'm not going to say Tony Yayo because I don't really care for Tony Yayo personally, but Lloyd Banks, I mean, he's been running the mixtape circuit. If you had those guys on there, those would have been some good appearances. But there's not a lot of memorable appearances on here, really. Prodigy is on the song Chase the Paper, but it's just a Prodigy verse. I'm not a huge Prodigy fan. A lot of people are. I always thought he just kind of sounds slow and lazy. But he's a good rapper. I can't take that from him. Mobb Deep has put out some classic hits. That's a whole other topic that I'm not going to get into, because we're talking about Animal Ambition. And speaking of Animal Ambition, the title track, Animal Ambition, is a garbage song. It's one of the worst rap songs I've heard in a while. The beat sounds like it's from a Sega Genesis game about cavemen and dinosaurs. And on top of that, it has growling sounds from animals, 50 Cent growling, elephants hooting and hollering on it. It's just a jumbled mess. The beat just sounds like mediocre. A lot of the beats on this are mediocre and very forgettable. There's not a lot that's really going to stick to you and make you want to go run and tell your friends to check that new 50 Cent album, because it just feels like an old 50 Cent album. It's not overly ambitious. It's kind of what you expect from 50 Cent at this point. I mean, he's moved on to other ventures. He's done mixtapes and guest verses here and there, but nothing that's really been that memorable that I can remember. Maybe I'm out of the loop, but I don't know. I'm not a huge 50 Cent fan in the first place, other than Get Rich or Die Trying, which was, I mean, you don't expect him to top that or even come close to it, but with this album, it's not near that. But maybe he's got some better stuff in the future, because I know he's got Street King Immortal, I think it's called. It's supposed to come out this year as well. Maybe this was just an appetizer to hold us over, but it wasn't a very good appetizer, because if anything, it's left a poor taste in my mouth. That was fucking clever. I was just making this shit up as I go. Do you get that? I'm just making it up as I go. There's not much more for me to say about this album. I feel like this review was going to be kind of disappointing, but once you listen to the album, you're going to know what I mean. It's just a watered-down 50 Cent album. There's nothing really terrible. Like, nothing on it is so terrible that I can bash it, other than the song Animal Ambition. There's nothing on here that's great that I can really praise up. There's not any lyrical content that I heard that blew me away. It's just a humdrum album, man. It just sort of exists. It's just there. It is not overly ambitious. But I'm not really surprised by this, because we saw 50 Cent at the baseball game recently, and we know he can't throw, so I'm not surprised that he has trouble making a hit. Baseball references, boom, that's clever. So that's my Animal Ambition review. I mean, it's one of my shorter reviews. Like I said, there's not much that I can say about it. I guess that kind of speaks to how good of an album that it is. I give it a 3 out of 5, because I think 50 Cent fans are really going to appreciate this, because it just sounds kind of like old 50. But the fact that it's lacking in creativity and not very original, I don't think it's going to have a lot of longevity or get a whole lot of spins and have people caring about it. I mean, it has Twisted and Smoke. They're kind of clubby radio hits. They might get some play. Winner's Circle has, you know, an uplifting chorus with the guy singing. It's sort of an inspirational song about winning, but it's not anything new. If anything, it comes across as forced and cheesy. And a lot of the other songs, there's not really much I can say about them. I forget half of them. I know I listened to this album like 10 times, but I don't know. What do you want me to do? I can't help it if I can't remember the songs, because there's nothing to remember. Listen to it or don't. I don't care. Check my other reviews. Let me know what you thought of the album. Maybe you thought it was amazing. Maybe it blew your fucking mind. I don't know. I just don't know. Average Ambition.